Yo, yo, what it is, y'all, what it do. Thank you so much for tuning in to the They Can't Be Serious podcast. We are your hosts, Mike, Steve, and Corlando, and we are coming to you today from our TCBS studios. And we have a fun show for y'all today, so thanks for tuning in. How you dudes doing?
All right, doing well. How's it going out there, folks? Just wanted to give a special shout out to Authentic AF Podcast. Gave us a lot of tips. We're new at this and just learning as we go.
Trying some new things, and we're constantly fine-tuning this project, but we're having a fun time doing it and bringing it to you guys.
All right, sounds good.
Awesome. We have a fun show for you guys today, all kinds of fun topics. One that I wanted to look into is ghosts.
Ooh. All right, sounds like a good one.
Yeah, do you believe in ghosts? Do you think they're real? What are your experiences with them? What are your thoughts?
I think ghosts are real, man. I think ghosts are real. I really do. I mean, if you look at, what is a person? You got a human body, you have a mind, and then there's a soul. And your body dies, but does your soul die? Does it move on? What does it do? So, I mean, I look at a ghost as like a person without a body. I think it's a real thing.
I kind of take the view, I'm in the same belief that everyone has a soul or a spirit, so to speak. I don't necessarily believe in ghosts.
So you've never had any experiences then?
I've heard a lot of stories. I've seen some strange things, but I'm not 100% certain that it was a ghost. Maybe it could have been explained some other way.
Right. So you're a believer that you have to see it to believe it, or you're always trying to find the scientific?
I don't always have to see it, but I haven't seen enough evidence yet that I'm fully a believer. How about you?
Oh, I'm an absolute believer.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I wasn't always that way. For many years, my whole life, I'm a firm believer. I have to see it to believe it. I wanted to believe it, but if I didn't see it with my own eyes, then odds are I'm not going to believe it. But I became a believer when I used to live in Colorado, and was up at a place in the mountains called St. Mary's Bed and Breakfast, St. Mary's Glacier Bed and Breakfast, what it was. And I absolutely became a believer at that point. We had some pretty crazy stuff happen to my girlfriend at the time.
What kind of stuff, yeah?
So it was interesting. I was there with an ex-girlfriend at the time. So it was many, many years ago. Never even thought this place it's like a big log cabin up there, but it's a mansion. It's gigantic, gorgeous. And it's just this amazing scenery around it at St. Mary's Glacier in Colorado. And it was interesting because that night I hadn't been thinking about ghosts at all, in fact. And I had some drinks and went to bed that night, and I had these really, really weird dreams in the middle of the night. And they were dreams. It's not like I was seeing something. They were just dreaming. But I dreamt that there was this old lady that was standing at the foot of my bed, staring back at us, laying in the bed. And there was two twins that were dancing, or not dancing, but skipping around the bed, just wrapping around each other.
Wow.
And it was the scariest, creepiest thing you could think of. But this is where it gets weird. When I woke up in the morning, I didn't say a word to anybody. I didn't tell my girlfriend. I didn't tell anybody. And I just chalked it up as that was weird. And I went downstairs, and the lady that was running the bed and breakfast at the time, she was kind of a creepy lady too. We became friends with her. But she was cooking breakfast, and I walked down, and she said, "Hey, how'd you sleep last night?" I said, "Oh, not too good. I had some weird dreams." And she's like, "Well, what did you dream about?" And I said, "Oh, it's just weird, like people in my room, And she goes, "Oh, don't tell me. Was it an old lady and two twins?" And it was the craziest thing ever because I didn't say a word to anybody. I didn't tell my girlfriend at the time, and I was like, "Oh my God, yeah, that's exactly who was in the room." She goes, "Well, because it's haunted, and that's exactly who haunts this place. It's a old lady, two twin kids, and a dog that are all in the house." And I experienced 3 of them that night, and it's just there's no other way to explain it. It was one of the creepiest things ever. And the funny thing is, I started digging into it a little bit more too. Like, I wanted to be a believer. Now that piqued my interest a little bit. And we started going back up there and became friends with the lady that ran this place. Kind of like The Shining, actually, because it was in the middle of nowhere, in the heart of the mountains. And she was a creepy lady, but she was cool to us. And we got to go up all the time. And we'd go when there was nobody up there. It was I can't remember, probably 10 rooms maybe. So it was a pretty large place, beautiful place. And we would bring the Ouija board up there. which I know you shouldn't be doing that, but we did. And this is when I truly became a believer of ghosts. I was up there and we were doing the Ouija board one night. I brought my dog, and my dog, and he's only done this the one time and never did it again. But when we were doing the Ouija board, he jumped up and dug his head into the cushions, like just buried his head into the cushions and just didn't want to see anything and just stayed there. It was really weird, but we had this glow in the dark Ouija board, and when we were just getting started, I put it over the light. There's a big lamp, a standalone lamp on the corner, and as I was putting it over it to get it to glow, it was glow in the dark. The light started flickering. It wasn't touching the board or anything, but the light started flickering, which was first thing. I was like, well, that's kind of weird. And we started doing the Ouija board, and it was moving around like big time. And so I was convinced that it was somebody else's hands that were moving this thing around. And so I said, everyone, take your hands off it. So we put our hands, probably 6 inches above the board, and nobody was touching it. And all of a sudden, the Ouija board and the piece that moves around jumped up and hit our hands and back on the table. It wasn't sticky to our hands when we pulled them up. It legit came up and went back down, and was a weird thing. And then I asked a question. I said, are you guys with us? Or are you with us? And it was like we're in this room. It was like a wraparound windows to a balcony outside. And this door to the balcony, right after I said that, the door flew open, just pow, wide open. And it wasn't windy outside. And so and this is another thing, like I went over and I closed it myself. I closed it. It was latched. Mm-hmm. It was me. And so I came back over and I sat down and I asked the same question again. I said, are you with us? And no joke, the door that I just closed myself flew back open again. And on 2 times on the exact same question. And it was instant believer. It was just we went up another time and we were doing the Ouija board in another room and nothing was happening on that one. But my brother and my cousin happened to be there that day. And they didn't want no part to do with the Ouija board whatsoever. And so when I walked back downstairs, we were getting nothing upstairs. And when I walked back downstairs, my brother and my cousin were white as a ghost. And I said, so what's up with you guys? And they said, well, I'm a non-believer, but had my cousin not saw the exact same thing that I just saw, then I wouldn't have believed it. But an old lady just walked right past the door that they were sitting in, and they had no idea of the ghosts that were there. So they saw it too, which is pretty unreal. But from that day or those times forward, I'm a firm believer that ghosts are real.
That's bananas.
Yeah,
crazy. That's so wild.
I don't have any experience with Ouija board either. So how many people again were using this thing?
So with the first one, when it came up and hit our hands and back down, there was 4 of us. So it was my girlfriend and I at the time, and the lady that was running it and her boyfriend. So just 4 in that room.
Now,
could it have been the lady that was running it?
No. Why? No, the reason why it came up and hit our hands, you mean?
Oh no, just like the lady walking by downstairs.
Yeah, I'm not even sure. Yeah, it was moving though. Like the Ouija board, the plastic piece that scrolls around, it was moving like crazy.
So when you have your hands on that plastic piece, so all 4 of you have your hands on that one piece?
Yep.
And what kind of force does it feel like? Does it feel like somebody's actually pushing it, or what?
Yeah, so it's just your fingertips that are on it, but it was moving pretty good. And so I was convinced in my own brain, again, like I have to see it to believe it type things. And I was convinced it was somebody else that was pushing around and obviously messing with us. And that's why I said, hey, everyone, take your hands off of it. And we put our hands up, and it was a few seconds that our hands were off of the board. And then it came up and hit our hands and came back down again. It was insane.
That's nuts, man.
Yeah,
it really is. I think I once saw something like that on a TV show or a movie. So when you ask it a question, does it actually it just spells things out with the alphabet?
Yeah, just right? With the alphabets. And I think on the corners there's a yes, there's a no, there's numbers and letters, like the full alphabet on there. So yeah, it's definitely it's interesting. I haven't done it ever since. Like I've heard you're not supposed to be doing Ouija boards, and at that time it was just my way of convincing myself that ghosts are real, and I'm gonna dig into it. But I haven't done it since. Have you done the Ouija board? You've never done it?
Never done it, but is that something you would do again?
I don't know. Probably.
Now, and what kind of forces run that kind of thing? Are these ghosts? Are these demons? Good? What do you think this is?
So I think that's the thing that they say, is that you just never know. And it's like a doorway for anything to communicate. So, with good energies and bad energies, right? You never know what you're going to get. And if you open up that means of communication, you could be opening that door to something you don't want to. That's what I hear all the time with it. But that's what scares me about it a little bit and doing it. What about you, Steve? You've done it before?
Yeah, when I was really young and I lived in New Jersey, me and my buddy and like his like sister and her friend, we were all up like in a closet or something. It was like stereotypical like you'd see like in a movie. And you set up the board, whatever. It was like dark in the closet, but there was still some light, like you could see, and we all had like our fingertips on it or whatever. And slowly and surely it started like moving around, like stopping at different letters and stuff. And I forget who got freaked out. Honestly, it was probably me. But definitely like my buddy and his sister and his friends too. We all got like kind of freaked out, but like it seemed authentic. Like nobody felt like they were moving the piece. You know what I mean? It all felt like, like, are you guys moving this, or is it just moving on their own? Because I don't think anybody really was trying to move it. But I mean, who knows? But it was moving around, so I don't even think that it got finished spelling whatever it was trying to spell. I mean, maybe it was just hungry, wanted some Cheerios or something. Like, who knows? But we didn't even finish the where we was all shut up. Like, oh my god, I'm gonna like close it and put it away. And in terms of Ouija's, that was my only experience with Ouija. But I kind of feel a little bit like, you know what? There's things I see and there's things I don't see. Like I can't see my mitochondria working, but I know that it's there. I can't see my mind, but I know that it's there. And I can't see all the people in the world, but I know that they're there. So, I mean, are these forces there or not there based on, of whether or not I can see them? I don't think that's like, for me personally, I don't feel like that's a good indicator of like, oh, yes, it is, or no, it isn't because I can or can't see it. So I just don't even touch it. You know what I mean? I just don't even touch it. I mean, where did I even come from? How far back can I even remember? I don't know. How long have I existed? I don't know.
Right.
So, when you guys were using it, what kind of questions were you asking it?
I have no idea. It was so long ago, I can't remember.
Do you recall if it was giving you like real responses that were accurate, or?
It was starting to spell something. We all shot up, freaked out equally. So I mean, it seemed like everyone genuinely was freaked out. Like they didn't feel like they were moving it, like something or someone else was moving it. So, and it did give me that particular heebie-jeebie vibe. Like if you're outside at night and you're like going to take the trash out or going to your car or something, and then all of a sudden you realize there's like a raccoon or something in the driveway, and you realize it's there, and you both see each other like, oh, crap. Like it was kind of like that feeling. Whoa. Like your hair stands up a little bit. Or was that just because I was scared? I don't know. I was a kid. But
like something staring at you.
These are very good questions. Like presents. Yeah, something like that. But I mean, hey, at the same time, I mean, we were kids. Maybe we were just a little freaked out. Maybe my buddy was messing with all of us, and who knows? Maybe he was hungry. Maybe he wanted some Cheerios. Maybe this is like, maybe this is like the original Ask Jeeves.
They do say
you had to kind of search for things, for information. So maybe this was just like the original Ask Jeeves, and then came the internet, and now it's Google. And Bing is trying to take over, and DuckDuckGo is the new thing. So maybe this is like the original DuckDuckGo was Ouija.
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 I don't know what DuckDuckGo is.
Really? It's an internet browser, like an internet search engine.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be like there's no trackers, and it's very like private or whatever. But lo and behold, they're like succumbing to Microsoft's like BS supposedly. So now like they're allowing like certain trackers and like
so
things
they
like
can't
that.
see you're searching porn in the middle of the night or something, and what you're looking up,
or whatever you're looking up. Some people just don't want to be tracked. Like, I just don't want to be tracked. People are constantly trying to get on our phones. Everything is constantly like getting information and selling it.
You know what?
I just don't like that in general as a concept.
That's a good point. I don't like being tracked either.
Yeah.
Just, you might be researching something, let's say a family member or a friend or something you heard on the news about a diagnosis, let's say. You watch something on the news about a certain person had schizophrenia, then you start searching that, and people see that's in your search history. It makes, I'd be concerned, hey, are these people thinking that I have that and I'm trying to research it for that purpose?
Yeah.
Instead of, little do they know, I'm just trying to broaden my education.
See, I think for me, I'm probably Google's their Christmas party. Like they bring this up, like you aren't going to believe what this guy was searching.
Yeah.
Because mine are 2 o'clock in the morning when my wheels are turning and I can't sleep well. My Google searches at that time are just ridiculous. It's like I've never seen
things you search it to.
Oh, just midgets. Like can you rent them? I mean, can you?
Is midget tossing real?
Ghosts. It's like other ghostly stuff that you might see and hear. It's just you never know in the middle of the night. But I have a feeling that somewhere out there, I'm somebody's Christmas party when they're like, "Oh my god," this guy's Google searches.
You're like a conversation piece.
Yeah. Like, oh my God, this guy again.
You're like the abstract art on the wall. Like, what is that? Well, let me tell you about that one.
Yeah, he's special.
This is called Corlando.
It's special, but so have you had any ghostly experiences?
Yeah. Preach.
One thing that I can say happened, and this was just a story that was shared with me by two friends, a husband and wife team. They were missionaries, and they still are in Haiti. And they were staying in one of the local homes. And
it's a missionary position that they're doing over there. Okay, gotcha. Sorry.
So they were, Christian missionaries.
That makes you feel even worse right now.
No, so they were just down there, just trying to spread the Bible, get the word of Christianity out. And, they were friends with everyone in the community. They were, like I said, they lived there. But there's a lot of, I think one of the main religions there is voodoo. And there's a lot of, I don't know what they call them, but like voodoo rituals where they'll have like the fire and a lot of people chanting or, whatever they do. Yeah. And what they said was they were in their house and there was a window. There's a window overlooking this and they were, just watching. And how they described it to me was a round ball, smaller than a basketball, but a round looking ball with like a hideous face is what they said. And it came to the window. It was kind of glowing, but kind of transparent. It came in really fast and it had like teeth and just made like a hideous scream. And they were pretty scared. So, being in the, Christian missionaries, they prayed and they said it went away screaming. And then they went on to tell me that to the people in Haiti that practice the voodoo, it is so real to them. They are so certain that they can call up these spirits or whatever they call up, that they make fun of Americans and people from like first world countries that don't take it seriously. To them, it's like such a common thing. It's, how can you not believe this? It's
their
real.
Culture.
It's just a thing. It's just normal.
That's crazy.
That's wild. I know it's like that in Brazil too. And I think in Brazil, and don't quote me on this, but I think in Brazil, like some like the voodoo kind of stuff, like sort of like, I don't know, shamanic is the right word, or
I think it's like spiritism.
Some of that, some of that sort of like, I don't know if it's indigenous or just kind of pre-existing spirituality has even blended a little bit with like Christianity in Brazil, which is like actually like a very Christian place. But there's some voodoo-ish type stuff, and this fly really likes my coffee because it's delicious coffee made by Corlando. Boom. But it's even blended a little bit there. I definitely know some people from Brazil that still do some of those like practices. Like there's certain things like I think like like garlic over the door like does something, wards off like bad energies, and then like they'll make like different like I spent a little bit of time in India. I was traveling around India. And there's definitely like some incredible ancient spirituality in India. And there's stuff like that, kind of like witchy type things. And the same with like indigenous populations, native peoples from around the world. They all have these kind of like witchy type things that they did, and that was part of their spirituality. And so like in India, you draw like with like chalk or whatever you can draw with. You draw like certain symbols in front of your door, and that kind of like cleanses people's energy as they step over and go into your house, or like it'll ward off like negative energies. Which doesn't mean like a evil spirit or something like that, but just like negative energy. Like some people just are in a crappy day, they're having a funk, and they drag some of that junk into your house. It's like taking a dump on your floor. So they're like, please don't dump on my floor.
It's like bringing sage in your house too, like and then doing the sage and the smoke.
Exactly. They all have things like that. And I mean, are they real? Do they work? Do they not work? Do they work how they say they work? Or they work in a different way? I mean, one thing that I feel, and I don't know, maybe they do, maybe they don't, but like one thing that I feel like I know for sure is the power of the human mind. You know, if you look around, you see skyscrapers that were built out of what ultimately all just came out of the earth. Like every physical thing comes out of the earth. So I mean, look what we built. You're ultimately using our mind and the tools that are available to us naturally in nature. So I mean, these things, you know, these rituals like sage or the chalk or you know these kind of voodoo-ish type things. I mean, is it really just our mind is so extremely powerful that when we use this tool and we give it a meaning and we give it like an intended purpose that when we believe in it, that when we do this thing, our mind is so powerful that it happens. I don't know, but like if I think, yeah, to me, like if these things work, I think that is definitely a very real possibility of the mechanics of how it works. It's just this incredible power of the human mind.
Have you seen ghosts?
I feel like I have. Like I feel like I have. I lived in a house in New Jersey that I think I don't want to say was haunted, but definitely had like spiritual presence like that. But I honestly think that it was like very positive. Like I don't think there was anything malicious at all. I think there was actually like past family members because we used to have everybody over our house. And, like we were like the spot. Everybody loved our house. It was beautiful. It was like in the woods. It was like incredible, beautiful home. And everybody used to come over, and we used to have like all those Italian stuff because we're so Italian. You know, it was like pastries and like eclairs and like cannolis and like you know it was like big pasta dinners, like all stuff. So everybody would come over, and I think that eventually, as like my family members passed, I felt like they would kind of like reconvene downstairs. Mm-hmm. Like we'd be upstairs sleeping or whatever in the middle of the night. It kind of sounded almost like the sound of like dishes and things clacking and people like talking a little bit. And then every now and then, like, and they say like your peripheral vision is your sharpest vision. Every now and then, like, I feel like in my peripheral, I would like see somebody walk by a door. Like I'm in a room and there's like, you know, like the door frame or whatever. And I see somebody like walk by a door and I turn my head, you know. But I felt like that in my basement a lot too. And there's always a thing about basements. Have you guys feel that way?
Yeah.
It's always like something about basements.
It's like the creepy places.
It's always
that's where
like,
you expect it to happen.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I know with seeing things out of the corner of your eye, a lot of people talk about that. I guess, you know, I'd have to be one that I would say, you know, I've seen that they call it what, like the shadow people. I've heard the term used.
I don't know. I never heard of that.
But another thing I thought was pretty interesting, you know, almost all the cultures throughout history report some kind of ghost or spirits. I know like in the Bible, they talk about it in the New Testament when like Jesus rose from the dead. The disciples, you know, they thought it was a ghost. That's immediately, that's what they wrote. They thought this was a ghost. So they must have been familiar with that, I would say.
Yeah.
You know, and same, you know, the story about Jesus walking on water. They thought that was a ghost because it's so supernatural. That was their way of explaining things. And apparently they had some kind of former experience with that to even think it was a ghost.
Right. And there, like you said, there's all kinds of different ghosts too, right?
Yeah.
So from all walks of life that are now dead, right? Mm-hmm. So anything that was once alive is now, you could be dead, you know, and have a ghost. So I actually had a really interesting haunting that, you know, I'll tell you about. So my old house in Colorado, we had a ghost, but it was a funny one because it was a gay ghost. Yeah. And it would keep me up all night long as it was like roller skating up and down my hallways. And, you know, it's just like, it would like color coordinate my closet in the middle of the night, you know, or the Elton John would play really, really loud at like 3 o'clock in the morning, which I don't mind, but it's like, does it have to happen at 3 o'clock in the morning? It made me late for work one time because it bedazzled my shoes and I had to like unbedazzle my shoes to get ready, but you know, you just,
some rhinestones on there or something.
You know, so all hauntings are interesting. You never know what you're going to get.
So can you pick out the race or the gender of a ghost?
I couldn't on this one, but it was,
okay.
Yeah, it would jump out and go and try to scare you in the middle of the night, you know. It was a bit irritating, you know. And
so my ghosts were definitely Italian ghosts because there was nothing but like cannoli smell and like tiramisu and, you know, there's a little bit of pasta sauce on the floor. You slip and you get all mad and it's like, wow, this is fine. So they say like when you die, you're the same as when you're alive. You know what I mean? Same personality. So mine clearly like pasta and like pastries.
So do you get stuck where you die, you think? Like, wouldn't the most haunted places in the country be hospitals?
Mm.
You know?
That's a good question.
Like you would think that they would be just insanely haunted, like all of them. But the only ones that they ever go and investigate are the ones that are like on ghost hunters that have been closed down for 100 years, and they're going in at night and everything's broken and graffiti all over the walls, which is extra creepy.
It's so funny you say that because I used to work as a therapist. I used to work in as a substitute therapist in a nursing home, doing some therapy. And this nursing home was like it was in the South, it was in Texas, and the nursing home was actually like they bought a really old hospital from this like very country town. It was beautiful, beautiful place, honestly, but the building itself was really old. And so there was like a small portion that they used as like the nursing home part, but then most of the building was just like completely abandoned. No one in there, and it was an old hospital. And there were all these like reports from like other therapists, from like um, patients of like like babies crying in the night and things like that. And supposedly, if you went and you walked down into the hospital corridor, like many people had said that like you do like every now and then see someone walk by like a doorway, or like you'll hear someone talking, like voices, babies, stuff like that. And people were like completely convinced of that. And it's a really good point. I mean, these old hospitals and things like that. I mean, if there's a place that's haunted, I mean,
you think a lot of people die in hospitals every day.
Yeah. Actually, the Navajo people, Dene people, and don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure they used to like cut out the whole like north side of their home when someone died in it. Or maybe they didn't die in it, but whoever died, they would like cut out the north side of their home completely so they could like not get like trapped or confused, but like pass on to wherever they're supposed to like pass on to, spirit world or whatever. They would like cut out the whole north side of their home so they didn't get like trapped or confused.
Interesting. Like cut the whole wall off the side.
Yeah, the whole north side, they would just cut it out.
Oh, geez.
For like, I don't know, a couple days. I don't know.
Their air conditioning bill would be through the roof, I'm sure, in those ones.
Yeah, I mean, their air conditioning, I think, was just like jumping in like a cold lake.
Right.
I mean, I don't think they had electricity at that point.
No joke here. The house that we're in right now, we're in my house. This is my garage, and it's brand new. But we've had experiences here, just stuff that I can't explain, and I have it on video too. So if anyone wants the link to it, you can message us on our Instagram or our Twitter account, and I'll gladly send you the link to this because it's interesting. But it's when my youngest was up in his room, we had a baby monitor in his room, and I would sit downstairs in my room and I could watch it, and I would see like orbs light up and go all over his room all the time, and it got me really interested to like, I got to get this on video. And plus my son would sleepwalk a little bit. He hasn't done it in about a year, but he used to do it all the time, and it was weird stuff, like stuff you'd see on a horror movie, like spot on. But he was probably maybe 3, 4, and I'd hear him ruffling around on his bed, and then so I'd start videotaping it, and he would sit at the edge of his bed, and his room is completely dark, and he's upstairs, and there's no lights on. And he would sit there for about just at the side of his bed for about 2 minutes, and then he'd get up and he'd go walk over and stand in the doorway and just looking out into the hallway, and he would just stand there for like 3 or 4 minutes and just not say anything, just stand there, and then he would turn around and walk back to his bed and get back in bed and go to sleep. And it was interesting. I mean, it was kind of creepy, it's like, what is going on with my kid? And so one time I was doing the same thing, like I heard him ruffling around, so I started videotaping. This is the recording I have. And he got up, he did the same thing, and he walked, and as he's walking over to the door, an orb lit up, and it followed him all the way to the door and out the door. And it was super creepy.
Now, when you say an orb, what exactly is
it? It's like a ball of light. It just, and as he's walking out, it didn't exist in his room until then. All of a sudden, it lit up from the corner, and as he's walking out, it like quickly got to him, almost like it was going with him out the door. Super creepy. I can't explain it.
You have this on actual video.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, we could post it. I'll post it to our Instagram and Twitter so you guys can see what it looks like.
And that's the TCBS podcast.
The TCBS podcast.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. If you haven't been there already, go there. Give us a like. Smash the follow button. We'd appreciate it, and make your comments there, and we'll gladly read them on the air for you too.
What are your thoughts on? I've heard of a lot of people using some kind of hallucinogenic substances to get into the spirit world. So I heard people ask, when somebody is taking those kind of drugs, are they, and the things they talk about, are they actually seeing ghosts, or is that just a result of the effects of those chemicals on the mind?
Could be. I mean, it's if you're on acid and you're seeing things, it's like there was definitely ghosts in my room, but it was just because you were on, drugs.
I heard a lot of the Native Americans would use things like peyote to contact the spirit world or get into that realm, and a lot of them put a lot of that was a large part of their culture or religion.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, that's a good question. It's a really good question.
one thing that some physicists say, they say that some of this can be explained with the effects of electromagnetic waves affecting the temporal lobe. So they're saying that some of the things that people see, they're trying to explain it from a scientific point, that it's not ghost at all, that it's just a normal physiologic response to whatever kind of electromagnetic radiation.
I think that's why they use it in ghost hunting, the EMF readers, the electromagnetic field, so as you walk into a place, that's why they want to usually turn all the power off in a building so that you don't walk past like an energy bank, like a plug-in or radio that's on or something that can generate waves for that reason. So if everything is shut off in your house and you walk into something and you get a spike on the EMF, then obviously there's some phenomena that is happening in that area.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. A lot of people have some strong beliefs on it. Other things I'm just reading here, some people say that carbon monoxide poisoning, like mild carbon monoxide poisoning, can cause changes in your perception, visually and hearing. So again, this is a scientist, one study, trying to explain some of these ghosts and that kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. It's a wild time. We'll have to do a podcast where we just go ahead and just ghost hunt.
We should ghost hunt this house and see what's going on.
It'll just be like your children.
So I would put my youngest to bed after I saw this orb that followed him out of there. So I started really ghost hunting this house in smaller terms. So I wasn't going out with my EMF readers and such. But
too bad.
But what I would do, and I have another video. I actually have 2 videos of this house, and I can post them both. The other one, I was laying in his bed with him, just putting him to bed and helping him fall asleep. And I would put my video on and just let it go into the darkness and see what I would catch, because maybe I catch an orb or something. And I had one where it was a flash-a-light, and it was a quick flash-a-light in and out like this, right in the middle. No clue what it is, and it wasn't something driving by. Everything was closed. It's just interesting. So I'll post all those stuff, and you guys can let me know your comments and tell me your thoughts on them.
Definitely love to see that. That's it's something, like I said, I haven't had a whole lot of interaction or those kind of experiences, but there's a lot of people out there that have.
Yeah.
We could do a ghost hunting show. It'd be awesome.
We should do one.
We should.
We should find like some old historic spot and get out there. And we should just Google it. Well, how much is an EMF reader for ghost hunting? They gotta sell kits out there for that. Yeah, it's gotta be on Amazon or Etsy or something.
You can get them for cheap.
We can get custom ones. We can get custom ghost hunting kits.
That'd be sweet.
TCBS, whatever we are. Engraved on the side. Yeah, we're gonna call TCBS.
It'd be awesome, actually.
It would be.
I love it. Whole new brand.
A whole new world.
So we got all kinds of fun topics here for you today. Yeah, so one of the things that I was thinking about, and I'm just looking in today's day and world and how everything's changed so much, is I believe that everybody has a price for everything. It's things that you think are not so good or so good, but if somebody were to come to you and offer you just any amount of money for something you wouldn't normally do, I believe everybody has a price. Like I have an example. So an example, like, and you don't have to say your political party whatsoever, just you can be Switzerland with it. But say you fall on one of the sides, right? And if somebody were to come to you, Mike, and say, I'm going to offer you $100,000 cash. It's hard money sitting on this table right here.
Tax-free.
Tax-free. It's yours to walk out the door with. But you have to vote opposite of what you normally would do. Nobody knows about it, but you'd have to vote opposite for it. Would you take it for $100,000?
I don't think I would.
Yeah?
I really don't think I would. I kind of share the view that something like that would be considered, I don't know, bad money. It's money that's come.
But it's one single vote. One single vote. It's not going to tip the scales potentially. It's your vote. All right, but you do have a price. So you say you won't. So what if it's $300,000 cash? That's
I don't think there's
life-changing money.
Any amount of money that would make me do that.
Really, $500,000 cash sitting here on the table. You wouldn't take it. $500,000. Your mortgage is paid. Remember, it's one single vote. Your mortgage is paid. You no longer have a truck payment.
No way.
No.
No. What about you?
Yeah. So if tables were turned, yeah, it's a tough one, but yeah, I would, just for one single vote, I suppose. Yeah, I suppose my dollar rate, give me $100,000 cash and I'll vote a certain way.
So it would take that much.
Yeah, but all right, let's ask Steve. What would you do on that?
I think I'd probably have a similar to Mike. If nothing else, because I feel like I wouldn't believe it. You know what I mean? Like somehow I'd get like nailed on taxes. I'd take whatever 300,000, and then just somehow I'd get nailed with it down the line or whatever. But then also like I guess like almost like the concept of karma, like what comes around goes around, like kind of dirty money. And I don't think I would do it.
It's life changing money.
Don't.
All right, so let me flip it on its head then.
Yeah.
All right, so you are the deciding vote, right? Where it is equal 50-50 on both sides.
Yeah.
And
it comes down
the video cameras and every news TV station is watching you go in to do to go in and place your vote, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to be the tipping scale for one way or another. Everybody knows too. Right. For you to change your vote, if there was $1 billion cash, 1 billion with a B, life-changing money for generations of your family. But everybody knows you're the one. Would you do it? Would you change it?
I couldn't. I'd have to. I would definitely vote the way I felt was appropriate.
$1 billion. Tax-free. It's in your bank account tomorrow.
Yeah.
You can buy an island.
Yep. I would definitely vote the same way.
Yeah, Steve?
Same. I really would.
I disagree.
I really would. Dude, it's not worth the harassment. Everybody knows it's you. Now you have an entire political party of people across the whole country that all know this, and then they're going to say, this is your fault. You're going to be like everywhere. You'll have no peace. It's not worth it.
It's like that Chicago Cubs fan that reached out and grabbed that. You remember that? The guy that had the headphones and he caught that foul ball that was supposed to be caught, that would have had the Chicago Cubs win in the World Series that they hadn't won in 100 years. You know what I'm talking about? Did you guys watch that?
No,
I didn't.
Oh, man. So that happened, and all he was a fan in the stands, and he reached over, and the Cubs are going to win the World Series. It's like they haven't done it in 100 years. A foul ball down the line. Moises Alou's down there. He's getting ready to get it, and this dude reaches over, and it hits him in his glove. He doesn't get it, but anyways, everyone in Chicago hated this guy. Like, it was death threats. It was like they had to move. I think it was against the Marlins, if I remember correctly. I'm not positive. But but it ended up giving the Marlins the win in the World Series. And so Chicago hated him so much, death threats, like he was the devil. And then Florida mayor offered him a place to live.
Foul instead of a home run.
Yeah, it wasn't an out because it could have been caught by Moises Alou. But this dude, and you're supposed to let him catch it. The game's over, they win.
Wow.
But he reached over and bobbled it, and then they end up losing the game when it was something so simple. But yeah, the Florida mayor reached out and offered him like sanctuary in Florida and like come down here and live here, and it's a real story. But
that's crazy.
I suppose that'd be like your votes, is what I'm saying. Like, like if you knew, but 50% of the people love you.
You would have to be like secret. You first of all, you'd have to move to Alaska because that's where they put all the people in WITSEC, witness protection, right? Like, first of all, you'd have to live in Alaska. I don't want to live in Alaska. Second of all, you need a new license, new identity. I enjoy my identity. I enjoy my license. You know what I mean? And then also, I mean, there's like bears in Alaska.
Awesome.
A whole life of witness protection. It's not worth it.
See, I could totally live in Alaska.
You couldn't be on the internet. I wouldn't be able to do this podcast. That's how you know I didn't take the money.
You'd be a different name for sure, though.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What would your name be if you had to go on witness protection?
Oh, that's a good question. I'll think on it. What would yours be, Mike?
Something really, really simple like Bob Smith.
Bob Smith.
There's so many of them that they could never single me out.
Yeah. I don't know. It couldn't be Corlando. No. So it would be, I don't know. I kind of feel like it would be like a...
Unless you're already in WITSEC.
Maybe it'd be a Greg.
Greg?
Yeah.
I think I'd probably be a Gary.
Yeah.
I'd be a Gary guy. I mean, who wants to go, let's go knock Gary off?
Yeah, Gary's...
leave him alone.
Gary's like, don't get in trouble ever.
Yeah, I mean, I used to know a cat named Gary.
Yeah. Good cat, right?
I had a dog named Mark.
I also knew a cat named Steve.
Yeah.
So, tomato, potato.
So then, with there being a price on something like voting, what would be your minimum amount you would take to change your vote for a presidential election?
So am I the deciding vote, or am I just
In general.
one of
Drop it in
the...
a bucket. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
No one cares.
And let's say whatever state you're in, you
Yep.
pretty much know who's going to win that state. We pretty much know that for
Right.
the most part.
Right. I would say, and it's not the deciding vote, I would probably take, and this hard money cash out the door.
Yeah.
This is all theoretical.
Right.
Yeah.
This is just all we're just talking shop here.
Give me
Yeah.
50 grand.
It's just totally yes.
50 grand.
50
So-
grand.
You
Yep.
wouldn't do it for 25? I mean, that's still...
Give me 40 grand, probably. What about being, all right, this is a funny one. So you're famously known for this too, right? Like everybody knows who you are because of this, right? But you're known for the good reasons with it, right? You're legendary in a good way. But say everyone has a dollar, right? What's your money on this? But if you're for being a porn star, yeah, but you did one video, one singular video, and you're the star for all the good reasons, right? People love you and know you because you were amazing, right? For all the good reasons. What would be your dollar amount that you would do that for?
I already know Mike and I's answer. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah?
No amount.
No amount.
Agreed.
Really? $500 million cash money on the table.
Nothing.
Remember, you're legendary because people, for the good reasons, you know? And it's just one time, one single video, you know? No amount of money.
It's no amount of money. Yeah.
What if it was to play a part in a movie where you're the bad guy? You're the...
Play a part in a movie?
well,
Or I'm the bad guy.
it's the same thing as, you know, a porn movie. It's a kind of movie.
Yeah.
And let's say
But
now...
it's not porn. It's a regular movie that you go to the movie theater and see.
Exactly.
Okay,
So,
let's clarify that. Okay.
let's say you're
So I'm
playing
an
a part.
actor.
You're an actor playing the part of a mass murderer that kills many, many people.
In a regular movie. Say it's a regular R-rated movie in the theater.
Just a regular action movie. I mean, there's so many movies
I
like
have
that.
absolutely no problem with that at all.
Now, my
That's
question
art,
is,
it's a skill.
Right.
well,
Regular salary.
I mean,
How-
look at
do you
the guy that played whatever Joker or whatever in Batman.
okay, do you
Right.
think murder is morally wrong?
Yeah, of course.
Then how do you feel right playing that role in a movie when you're just saying that you wouldn't do the porn thing? I'm assuming was that because it's morally wrong? Why won't you do the porn?
I just think that porn just destroys people.
So you think it's morally wrong?
I think that it's damaging.
Okay, do you think people watching these violent movies, you don't think that's damaging?
That's a good point. So I think that I was just having a conversation about this with someone yesterday. So like I think that like watching these like real nasty kind of movies, like I think that every experience that we have leaves an impression on our unconscious. Period. Even like the parakeets or whatever that is in the background right now. I mean, every experience that you have leaves an impression on your unconscious, and your unconscious typically, I think, controls your decisions. It basically controls your life in a lot of ways. Maybe not all the time, but a huge influence, massive, way more than we ever realized. So I think that watching a lot of this bad stuff, whether it's like thrillers, porn, or whatever, I think it all leaves an impression on your unconscious, and it's really bad for your psyche. So that being said, it depends on the movie and how it's done. If it's like a really cheap, it's just like gore, like weird, creepy, demonic shit and stuff like that, like I wouldn't want anything to do with that film. But if it's just like, say, for the example that I mentioned before, like Batman, and then you have that guy. Who was that guy that played Joker in Batman?
He died. I can't remember his name though.
Heath Ledger?
Yep, that's it.
Okay, so say for example with something like Heath Ledger. I mean, that was a skill. I mean, that is an art that you hone,
A sweet
and
movie.
it's a skill, and it was a sweet movie. And I don't see anything wrong with that at all.
Well, I'm talking.
Even though in the movie he killed people.
I'm talking more about something like your Rambo's sidekick. So you and Rambo,
Yeah.
and you guys are out there just
Fine.
you would do that,
Yeah, I would do it.
even though you think that's morally wrong.
Yeah, and it's because of the place that it comes from, and like the origins and the how,
And you
as
think,
opposed to the what.
but you also think that could be damaging to people to watch those movies.
It could be, but I'm thinking more of just like the real like nasty kind of like demonic type movies and like those types of things. Like,
So you wouldn't do demonic movies. You would do those you wouldn't touch at all.
I don't think I would touch those at all. I just don't like that.
But the murdering ones you're fine with.
That's more of like combat type stuff, like just general violence. Like it's a movie.
Now I'm going to keep
I have no problem with
pushing you here. I'm
Yeah,
going to
go
keep
ahead.
pushing you because
Yeah.
this one I still don't have a clear answer from you.
I thought I gave a pretty clear answer.
Well, you think
It's the intention and how it's done, and that's a skill that they hone. It's an art. It's like a painting.
So the Rambo movies, you would feel
Yeah.
fine doing that,
Yeah, I'd be fine doing that.
even though you feel the things in that movie are morally wrong.
I mean, in real life, like, yeah, you shouldn't go like killing people. But also, like at the same time, I mean, was it? I mean, I haven't seen the Rambo movies in a long time, but was a lot of that self-defense? I think so.
A lot of it was for the betterment of mankind.
Yeah, but also self-defense. I mean, he was alone in the woods, in the jungle, right? And then these people who are mercenaries are there to try and kill him. So what do you do in that scenario? If I had Rambo's skill and I was in the forest by myself and mercenaries were trying to kill me,
You'd fight back.
I would exert my right to not retreat, and I would defend my life because my life was in jeopardy at that moment.
Okay.
And you have every right and ability to do that.
All right, fair enough. Now, Quirlando,
Yes,
is
sir.
there any kind of movie you would not do?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big movie guy, so it's not. I don't ever go to the movies. I don't hardly ever watch them, so it's really hard for me to like a rom-com. I guess I don't think I'd want to do one of those.
That's the movie you wouldn't do as a rom-com?
Exactly. I think they're so bad. Like I had to watch one with my wife the other day, and it was like the death of me. Like
Which one?
was. I can't remember what it was called. I'll think of it if it was. Shoot, now I'm drawing a blank on what it was, but it was terrible. Like I sat there and just hated every bit of it. It was like, yeah, rom-com. That's what it was.
That bad that you blocked it out.
It was terrible. Yeah,
Wow.
exactly.
Have you ever gone skinny dipping?
I think everyone has at some point.
Okay.
Obviously, personally, I haven't done it in any kind of public place or
Yeah.
where anyone could see me. What about you
If
guys?
you go naked in your own bathtub, is that called skinny dipping? Is that classified?
Yeah, why not?
I mean, you're naked in water, submerged underwater, so it's like skinny
guess it
dipping in your bathroom, taking a bath.
I guess it is, and that's the kind of thing I've done. Like
Mhm.
a lot of the places I go are way off the grid, and
Bathing, showering,
just to get
these are the
cleaned
types
up,
of things.
and showered. You might go into a mountain stream or something.
What about one of those nudie resorts? Would you do that?
I wouldn't.
No. Have you ever been to one?
Never. I would never.
Me neither.
What's that famous hotel in Jamaica called?
I know there is a place out there.
It's like
I know what you're talking about. I can't think.
Savage or something. Hedonism.
That's it.
Yes, I've heard of that.
Yeah.
So my understanding of that is you can go there and either get naked in public or not.
Yeah.
Would you guys do it?
Absolutely. I'm in. Like yesterday.
Would you go with would you go with your clothing or no clothing?
I'd go stark naked. Why not? Like I would bring clothes with me because I'm not going to stay that way. But yeah, why not? That's an experience, man. I'm in.
Would you even go, Steve?
I mean, would I just go there solo as a person? No, I would not just go there solo. But if I was like in a relationship with someone and they were like, "Hey, I really want to go to hedonism. I've always wanted to be there my whole life," and we're like monogamous relationship, there's gonna be no swinging or anything like that, and that's just like what they wanted. It's like a life bucket list thing, and I love them, and they're like, "I want to go." I'd be like, "Okay, but you're paying for my plane ticket." Like, I'm not shelling out for that flight.
So
I have some points.
what would it be like to have like the early 1900s, like 1900s men and women somehow just teleport and be dropped into today's 2022 men and women? What would that experience be like for them, and what would they think about that? Would that be something like I want to see a movie about this someday? I think it would be a fantastic movie. Like, what would they say to us? What would even culture shock, just because there's so much new stuff that wasn't around back then too? They'd probably be in an upside down world.
Sounds like a good screenplay.
Yeah.
I thought this was really interesting. Zebulon Pike, I guess that's what Pike's Peak is named after. I guess he was like a general or some high-ranking officer at a super early age, like in his mid-20s, and he led a whole brigade or a large amount of soldiers out in Colorado on like one of the coldest days of that year. To have that kind of leadership at that age, something you don't see very often these days.
Right. Well, look at the signer of the Declaration of Independence. Like the average age, I believe, for the signers of the Declaration of Independence was like 42 years old, which is pretty nuts. That's like basically me. That's insane.
Yeah. It really is amazing. And the writers of the Constitution, they weren't necessarily, I don't think they were all that old. Here it says the most notable signers of the Constitution: James Monroe, 18 years old.
Wow. 18. Wow.
John Marshall, 20.
Wow.
Aaron Burr, 20. Alexander Hamilton, 21 years old. James Madison, 25. Thomas Jefferson, 33.
33.
And they were brilliant minds at
Yeah.
such a young age to be able to come up with that document.
Here we are in like our 30s and 40s, and it's just like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go big. I'm gonna start a podcast. You know, they're like, let's make a country.
Yeah,
You know,
it's amazing.
Yeah, well, it's fun having this podcast with you all today. Thanks again for tuning in and enjoying it with us and being a part of it. Be sure to smash the like button and follow button. Post comments, and we'll be sure to read them here and try to touch on as many of them as we can. Good or bad, we can have fun with it. So we want to learn and make it fun for you all. So if you have good show topics you'd like us to cover, put that in the comment section.
tell us what you want to hear about.
Sounds good, y'all. You guys take it easy out there. Be good to each other.